You didn't come this far just to stop. You didn't fight through the storms, the silence, the nights of doubt, the rejections, the fears, the inner battles, just to give up at the edge of breakthrough. Chosen one. This isn't the end of your story. It's a pivot, a sacred turning point where pressure becomes power, where resistance becomes revelation. Every tear you shed, every silent scream into the night, every unanswered question that lingered in your chest, they were not wasted. They were bricks in the foundation of something greater. You were being sculpted by divine hands, formed in fire, not to be burned, but to be built. And now, as you stand here, on this invisible bridge between everything you've been through and everything you're meant to become, you are not alone. God did not bring you this far to leave you here. This is your moment to remember what's inside you. You were not made to quit. You were made to endure. You were made to rise. You were chosen for a path that's not easy, but it's real. It's powerful. It's yours. There are forces waiting to conspire in your favor the moment you align with your own inner fire again. Wishes are not weak. They are seeds, and your deepest desires, when paired with belief and action, become fuel to energize the universe in your favor. That's why you must finish this video. Let the words sink in. Let them wake up the sleeping warrior in you. And when you're done, leave your warmest wish in the comments and write 77. And like this video, subscribe to the channel. But as a sign that you're ready to push through. Because let's be honest, you've been through worse. There were days when you didn't even think you'd make it here. There were nights you prayed for one more chance. Mornings you walked with a heavy heart, still choosing to move forward. That wasn't weakness. That was strength in its most raw and sacred form. You didn't just survive. You grew, quietly, without applause, without recognition. But none of it went unnoticed by the energy that governs this world. The divine saw you, and every step you took in faith is now about to be multiplied. But only if you push through. Do not underestimate the weight of your own journey. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. The universe is deliberate. God is intentional. And what you've endured has prepared you to carry blessings without breaking. This next season of your life will require a version of you that is resilient, focused, and grounded. That's why you were tested. That's why you were isolated. That's why it felt like nothing was working. Because you had to learn to trust, even when you had no reason to. You had to believe, even when it felt like everything was against you. Now, you are finally ready. And the only thing standing between you and your becoming is your ability to keep going, to keep walking, to keep showing up. This is what it means to be chosen. Not perfection, but persistence. Not immunity from pain, but insight because of it. You see differently now. You feel more deeply. You carry empathy like a sword, compassion like armor. That is your gift. That is your strength. And that is why you must not stop. Not now. You've come too far. You've healed too much. You've awakened too deeply. There is no going back to what you were. And that's not something to mourn. It's something to celebrate. Because what's ahead of you is so much bigger than anything behind. Yes, you're tired, but you are not finished. Yes, you're wounded, but you are not weak. You are still standing. And that is your victory. Every breath you take is defiance in the face of everything that tried to silence you. Every step forward is a declaration that your story is still being written. And even when you can't see the ending, trust that it's being authored by something higher. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are being led. Chosen one, you were not brought here to be abandoned. You were brought here to transform. This path you're walking may feel lonely, but it's sacred. You're shedding layers that no longer serve you. You're outgrowing old fears, outdated beliefs, and limiting voices, both from others and from within. That kind of growth is messy. It's painful, but it's necessary. Because the old you can't carry the weight of the new blessings. You had to evolve. You had to awaken. You had to become someone who can stand in their truth no matter what. And that's exactly what you're doing. So don't stop. Don't let the heaviness of today rob you of the promise of tomorrow. You are closer than you think. You've carried burdens in silence that would have broken others. You've walked through emotional deserts, searching for signs, for water, for meaning. And yet somehow, some way, you kept going. Do you know how rare that is? How powerful that is? The world tries to measure success in results, numbers, and milestones. But your real success is that you didn't stop when everything in you said you should. You didn't collapse when the world went quiet. You didn't lose yourself, even when you were surrounded by darkness. That is strength. That is divinity in motion. And it's time you recognized that about yourself. Chosen one, the weight you carry is not a punishment. It is the evidence of your calling. You were designed to hold more, feel more, and rise from more. That's why your path has been steeper. That's why your storms have lasted longer. Because what's forming in you is not ordinary. Your destiny carries layers of impact, healing, leadership, and light. And that kind of calling comes with pressure. The pressure to keep going, to keep believing, to keep rising even when you feel like you have nothing left to give. But here's the truth. You must never forget. The pressure isn't here to crush you. It's here to carve you into someone unstoppable. There is something deep inside you. Call it faith, spirit, divine DNA, that refuses to quit. Even in your worst moments, it whispered, "Hold on." Even when logic told you there was no point, something higher in you said, "Keep going." That's not coincidence. That's not random. That's divine guidance. It's your higher self echoing what the universe already knows. You are not meant to be defeated here. This is not your finish line. This is a stretch, a test, a moment that will one day make sense in the context of your breakthrough. You are in the cocoon phase of your evolution. And cocoons are tight, uncomfortable, dark. They don't feel like places of growth, but inside, something sacred is happening. Wings are forming, perspective is shifting, identity is expanding. You're learning to see yourself not as broken, but as becoming, not as failing, but as forming. And that shift, that subtle, powerful shift, is what allows you to rise when others would fall. That is why you must trust the process, even when it makes no sense, especially when it makes no sense. There will be moments when your vision is blurry, when your faith wavers, when the voice of doubt gets louder than your hope. But that doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. And still, despite all that, you keep choosing belief. You keep showing up. And that is what separates the chosen from the rest. Not perfection, not certainty, but the willingness to stand in the storm and say, "I will not break." You have survived every day you thought you couldn't. That alone is reason enough to trust your strength. But beyond that, you have something even more powerful, a future that has already been aligned for you. One that requires your presence, your perseverance, your refusal to fold. You are the bridge between what was and what will be. Your life, your voice, your light, they matter. And the impact you're meant to have hasn't even begun to fully unfold yet. So many people depend on your courage, and you don't even know it. Your story will be someone's survival guide. Your resilience will be someone's roadmap. But first, you must walk through your own fire. Not because you deserve pain, but because you are capable of alchemizing it into power, into wisdom, into purpose. You were chosen not just to be strong for yourself, but to light the way for others who feel lost, hopeless, or forgotten. And the way you rise from this moment will echo far beyond anything you can see now. This is not a setback, it's a setup, not a delay, but divine timing. You're being aligned with something bigger than your current view. That's why it feels unclear. That's why it feels uncertain. But trust me, just because you can't see the entire picture doesn't mean the masterpiece isn't unfolding. You're still in the brushstrokes, but God knows the final image, and it is powerful, radiant, unforgettable. Just like you, you're not running out of time. You're being prepared for it. The longer the wait, the greater the unveiling. The deeper the valley, the higher the mountain. So hold your ground, keep your posture of faith, and know that even now, even in this, especially in this, you are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are being carried, lifted, watched over. And when it feels like everything is against you, remember this: not all battles are meant to be fought alone. Some are meant to teach you how deeply you're supported by the unseen. Now is the time to silence the inner critic, to override the fear, to release the need to control, and lean into divine flow. You've done enough to earn your next chapter. Now you must allow it to arrive. That means surrender. Not giving up, but giving over. Letting the universe take the weight you were never meant to carry. Trusting that what you've sown in pain will bloom in purpose. And no matter how long it takes, the harvest is coming. But only if you push through. You are in a divine cycle, one that requires patience, trust, and relentless determination. You've been called to something greater than comfort. You've been led through the wilderness, not to wander forever, but to learn who you really are without all the noise. That's what this part of your journey is about. Not punishment, not abandonment, but transformation, refinement, awakening. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's confusing. But chosen one, nothing extraordinary is born in ease. The rarest fires are forged under the fiercest pressure. Right now, everything in you may be craving relief, a sign, a breakthrough, an escape. But sometimes the absence of movement is not the absence of progress. It's gestation. What's being built within you right now is sacred, quiet, precise, and it must happen beneath the surface before it can shine in the world. You are not being still because you're stuck. You're being still because your soul is preparing to rise in a way it never has before. And when that moment comes, everything that didn't make sense will suddenly fall into place. But here's the truth: most never speak aloud. Breakthroughs require brutal honesty. You must look in the mirror and confront your fears. You must admit what's been holding you back. You must get real about your thoughts, your patterns, your limits. That kind of self-confrontation is terrifying, but it's also the key. When you finally decide that you are no longer available for the version of yourself that just survives, that's when the shift happens. That's when the divine steps in. Because God never leaves a willing heart unanswered. You've done the work. You've done the waiting. Now it's about the walking. Forward, even when the path isn't clear, even when the light feels dim. That's the test. Can you walk in faith when you feel blind? Can you carry your mission when you're exhausted? Can you keep showing up with love, with courage, with purpose, even when life doesn't validate your efforts right away. If you can, you are not only strong, you are unstoppable. And that is exactly what you're becoming, unstoppable. Not because you never get tired, but because you don't let being tired define you. Not because everything is easy, but because you choose to rise anyway. Every time you speak life over your pain instead of surrendering to it, you rewrite your story. Every time you decide to move forward rather than spiral, you create a new possibility. And each of those moments adds up. They build a path that only you can walk. A path that will someday inspire countless others to do the same. Don't let your current feelings fool you into forgetting how far you've come. You are not who you were. Even if things look the same on the outside, your spirit has changed. Your vision has deepened. Your inner world has been rewired. And that alone is proof that what's next is different, better, brighter. But it's still waiting on one thing: your continued belief. Not in something external, not in anyone else's timeline, but in yourself, in your mission, in the fact that everything up to this moment has been preparing you for a season unlike any other. You've endured too much for it to end here. You've outgrown too many cages to climb back in. You've tasted too much truth to be fed illusions now. That's why this moment may feel so intense, because it's the threshold, the final stretch before the new begins. But thresholds are never meant to be easy. They are meant to test everything you've learned, and the only way through is forward. Not perfectly, not without fear, but forward still. Forward always. You may not feel ready. That's okay. Destiny rarely waits for readiness. It responds to willingness. And you are willing. That's why you're still here. That's why you're watching this video. That's why something deep in you keeps reaching for more. Because you were never meant to settle for survival. You were born for impact, for greatness, for something sacred. And now, the universe is calling you to step into it. Fully, fiercely, faithfully. Let go of the lie that says you've missed your moment. Your timing is not late, it's layered. Everything is unfolding exactly as it must. Even the delays were divine. Even the detours were destined. What's meant for you is not behind you. It's becoming, just ahead. And you are walking toward it with every breath, every decision, every act of courage that says, "I'm not giving up." This part of your life may not be what you imagined. It may feel like the opposite of your dreams. But what if this is the proving ground for your power? What if this is where you learn that nothing external can define your internal truth? What if this is the part of the story that teaches you to anchor yourself in unshakable belief, so that when the blessing arrives, you don't just recognize it, you're ready for it? Do not mistake divine delay for denial. What's coming is too big to be rushed, too important to be wasted, and you are too valuable to be forgotten. So no, God didn't bring you this far to leave you. You weren't abandoned. You were being sharpened, strengthened, elevated. And every second you've spent in the waiting room of your life has not been wasted. It's been preparing you to burst into a room that only your spirit can fill. So breathe, stand up straighter, and take the next step. Not because it's easy, but because you've come too far to stop now. There is a quiet knowing in your soul, a whisper that has been with you even in your darkest moments. You didn't ask for this journey to be so difficult. You didn't choose all the pain, all the delays, all the lonely nights, but something deep within you chose to stay the course, regardless. That kind of strength, that kind of loyalty to your own path, is not something that can be taught. It is something you were born with. And that alone makes you rare. That alone makes you powerful. You are not crazy for still believing in something greater. You are not weak for having moments of doubt. And you are not foolish for still holding onto a dream that seems far away. Those dreams were placed inside of you for a reason. That pull in your spirit, that fire in your gut, it's not delusion. It's direction. It's proof that you are tethered to something higher, something that refuses to let you settle, something that refuses to let you quit. But the truth is, being chosen isn't always glamorous. Most of the time, it's isolating. Most of the time, it feels like you're walking through fire alone, while others seem to move freely through life. But that fire is doing something sacred. It's burning away everything you're not, so that only your truth remains. And that truth is unstoppable. That truth is your calling, your identity, your light. Even if the world doesn't see it yet, even if you don't fully see it yet, it's already alive in you. You've had to learn patience while everything inside you screamed for progress. You've had to keep your heart soft in a world that tried to harden you. You've had to rebuild yourself more times than anyone knows. And each time you did, you came back stronger, wiser, more grounded in who you really are. That's not failure. That's resilience. That's legacy in the making. That's the kind of strength that people feel just by being in your presence. There's a reason your story is different. There's a reason your process has taken longer. It's because what you carry is heavier. What you're building is deeper. And the impact you're meant to have is too great to be rushed. You are not just preparing for a breakthrough. You are becoming the kind of person who can sustain one. That's why your timeline is different. That's why your journey is more intense. Because you're not being prepared for a moment, but for a movement. Everything you've endured has refined you. Every disappointment taught you discernment. Every loss taught you how to let go with grace. Every delay taught you the strength of stillness. You don't just dream anymore, you know. You know how sacred time is. You know how powerful alignment is. And you know that everything you're walking through is either teaching you or transforming you. And that means nothing is wasted. You don't need to know all the answers right now. You don't need to see the full picture. You just need to take the next step, even if it's small, even if it's slow, even if you're scared. God didn't bring you here just to watch you fall. This moment isn't the end. It's an invitation to dig deeper, rise higher, and trust harder. The story isn't over. You're just turning the page. And sometimes the page you turn doesn't bring instant relief, but it brings clarity. It brings understanding. It brings you closer to the truth of why you were chosen in the first place. That truth may not always be easy to carry, but it is always worth it. Because when you are in alignment with who you truly are, even your pain begins to make sense. Even your silence begins to sing. And you start to realize that the very things that were meant to break you only broke open more of your strength. You are being molded for something precise. That's why it can't happen on someone else's timeline. That's why shortcuts don't work for you. That's why you've had to climb hills others didn't even see. You were chosen not just to survive storms, but to speak through them, lead through them, rise above them, and turn them into power. Not for glory, but for purpose, for truth, for healing, yours and others. Every version of you that has walked through fire is standing beside you right now, cheering you on. Every scar you carry is a badge of honor. Every tear you've cried has watered the roots of your destiny. Nothing was for nothing. Not one step, not one setback, not one sleepless night. All of it is coming together in a divine orchestration that will make sense soon. But for now, keep pushing, keep believing, keep rising. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not alone. You are ascending. So stand tall, stand firm, and say it with your chest. I wasn't brought this far just to give up now. You didn't make it this far by accident. You didn't crawl through fire, carry burdens in silence, or fight battles no one saw just to stop here. There's something in you that refuses to surrender, even in the silence, even in the setbacks, even in the suffocating moments of uncertainty. You keep showing up. And that is holy. That is proof that your spirit knows something your mind can't always explain, that this chapter is not your ending. It's your evolution. You're not being tested because you're weak. You're being tested because you're next. There's a reason the pressure has increased. There's a reason the weight feels heavier. It's not because you're being crushed. It's because you're being carved, shaped, strengthened, so you can carry what's coming without collapsing under its greatness. What you're stepping into demands more than average faith. It requires rooted identity, unshakable vision, and a soul that can bend without breaking. The truth is, not everyone will understand the weight you carry. Not everyone will see the unseen battles you fought, but that's okay, because you're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to fulfill what only you were sent to do. And that mission, that divine assignment, doesn't require the approval of the crowd. It requires the commitment of your heart. And you've already proven you're committed because you're still here. You don't get to this part of the story without scars, without moments that make you question everything, without days that feel endless, and nights where hope feels like a stranger. But the fact that you're still breathing means you've already overcome more than most people even realize. And if you can survive what tried to take you out, you can definitely thrive through what's trying to hold you back now. So push, not because it's easy, but because you were born to. Push through the fear that says it's too late. Push through the fatigue that whispers you're not enough. Push through the resistance that shows up every time you try to grow. Because on the other side of that resistance is your rebirth. And it's closer than you think. There is a moment, quiet, small, sacred, when everything shifts. When what once felt impossible suddenly begins to unfold. That moment doesn't come from force. It doesn't come from perfection. It comes from endurance, from your ability to remain faithful, even when you're fragile, from your decision to keep the door open, even when no opportunity has walked through yet, from your refusal to shut down the vision inside you, even when reality gives you every reason to. The pressure you feel now, it's not punishment, it's proof. Proof that you're being stretched into your next level, that the ground beneath you isn't falling apart, it's being rearranged, that the discomfort you feel isn't a sign to quit, it's a sign that you're standing at the edge of breakthrough. And the enemy of your destiny would love nothing more than for you to back down now. But you won't. You can't. Because your soul has already made a decision that your mind is just now learning to agree with. We keep going. No matter how long the journey has taken, no matter how delayed it's felt, you are not running out of time. You are running into alignment. Everything is happening right on schedule. Even the detours, even the pauses. They're not roadblocks, they're recalibrations. God isn't making you wait because you're unworthy. You're being prepared because your calling is weighty. It requires strength, clarity, and spiritual maturity. And all of that takes time. But chosen one, time has not been wasted. Every silent season, every unanswered prayer, every frustrating pause has done something to you. It's built something in you. And you are no longer the person who started this journey. You are wiser now, stronger now, softer in the right ways, and sharper in the others. You are ready for more than you even realize. And the only thing that stands between you and the next level is your decision to keep walking. Walk even when the road is quiet. Walk even when no one is clapping. Walk even when it hurts. Not because you know how everything ends, but because you've already decided that quitting isn't an option. Your soul is anchored now, and that anchor is what keeps you grounded in the storm. It's what allows you to bend without breaking, to cry without collapsing, to hope without needing proof. That is spiritual maturity. That is sacred strength. That is who you've become. And here's the miracle. You've been guided this whole time, even when you felt lost, even when it seemed like your prayers were echoing into emptiness. You were being led, sometimes through stillness, sometimes through detours, sometimes through heartbreak, but always, always through love. And the same presence that brought you this far will not leave you now. The same energy that carried you through the valley will carry you over the mountain. So if your heart is tired, rest, but don't retreat. If your mind is loud, breathe, but don't believe every thought. If your spirit is weary, remember. This moment is just a chapter, not the conclusion. And the only way you fail is if you forget who you are. You are chosen. You are protected. You are rising. And nothing, no setback, no delay, no lie, no fear, can undo what's been written over your life. You didn't come this far to come this far. The finish line isn't just a place. It's a transformation. And you, chosen one, are right in the middle of it. Everything you've walked through, the delays, the heartbreaks, the unanswered questions, the silence, it's all been preparing you. You weren't just meant to reach a destination. You were meant to become someone who can carry light through the darkest corridors, someone who can stand tall when everything around them falls apart, someone who inspires healing just by surviving. You have become the proof that endurance is more powerful than speed. You are the evidence that the soul can be stretched and shaped and burned and still emerge golden. There's a quiet brilliance to the ones who don't quit, a sacred fire in the ones who refuse to bow to fear. And you carry that fire. You walk with that brilliance. You are not broken. You are reborn. The enemy tried to shut you down, tried to distract you with false timelines, discourage you with rejections, destroy you with loneliness. But you didn't fall for it. Because even in the middle of the confusion, your soul knew, this is not the end. This isn't where your story fades. This is where your power amplifies. The same weight that once made you question your path is now the weight you use to lift others. The same voice that once trembled in pain now speaks life into places no one else dares to go. And yes, you've had to do it alone. Not forever, but long enough to find your own voice. Long enough to discover what parts of you were inherited, what parts were created for survival, and what parts were truly you. You needed that silence. You needed that space. Because only in isolation could your real identity rise. Without influence, without noise, without the pressure to perform. Now you emerge with clarity, with self-respect, with a love for yourself that isn't built on performance, but on purpose. You've been refined, not rejected, hidden, not forgotten, preserved, not punished. This is why it's been so heavy. This is why it's taken so long. You weren't just being prepared for a season. You were being shaped for a legacy, the kind that echoes, the kind that touches generations, the kind that doesn't need applause to be powerful. Because your power isn't in how loud you are, it's in how deeply you know who you are. And you know now. You know. You are no longer looking for outside permission to walk in your calling. You are no longer waiting for someone else to recognize your worth. That time is over. You are not hoping anymore. You are owning. You are not begging anymore. You are becoming. This is the shift, the crossing over, the moment when everything inside of you aligns with the truth you've always known. God didn't bring you this far to leave you. You were never meant to collapse under the weight. You were meant to carry it into greatness. Every lesson, every tear, every sacrifice, it's all part of your becoming. And now, you don't just believe in your calling, you embody it. You are the message. You are the miracle. You are the living proof that chosen doesn't mean easy. It means essential. So walk forward, not with fear, but with fire. Not with doubt, but with divine certainty. You're not walking into your destiny. You're activating it. You're stepping into a space you were always meant to occupy. And everything that tried to delay you will now be part of the story you tell. Not with bitterness, but with power. Because nothing they did worked. You're still standing. You're still here. And you're not going anywhere. Your purpose is still alive. Your vision is still valid. Your presence still matters. And now it begins. Let the world catch up. Let the universe respond. Let every locked door swing open. Let every moment of resistance be transformed into reward. Let every part of you that once questioned your worth now celebrate your becoming. Because you didn't just push through. You ascended. You endured. You won. And nothing will ever be the same again. If you're still listening, it means your soul needed every word, and I want you to feel this deeply. You're not crazy for believing there's more. You're not wrong for wanting to keep going, even when it seems like everything around you is falling apart. That pull you feel, that inner push that won't let you give up, that's not pressure, that's purpose. There's something divine in you. A voice so ancient, it remembers things your conscious mind has forgotten. A memory buried in your spirit that reminds you, you were made for this. Before the storms, before the disappointments, before the world tried to mold you into something smaller, you already carried this calling, this resilience, this truth. And that's why quitting has never sat right with you. That's why you've cried, broken down, collapsed, but never truly stopped. You've paused. You've questioned. You've wondered how much longer it would take. But something deeper always whispered back, just a little further. You're not finished yet. You don't have to be perfect to be chosen. You just have to keep walking. There's nothing wrong with being tired. There's nothing wrong with needing rest. But you owe it to yourself, the real you, to rise again. Not because someone is watching, not because anyone will applaud you, but because there's something sacred waiting on the other side of your persistence. A version of you so aligned, so powerful, so grounded in truth, that everything you once prayed for will finally have a place to land. Some people will never understand what it took for you to stay kind in a cruel world, to keep giving when you had nothing left, to keep showing up even when you were invisible. But that doesn't matter. You didn't do it for validation. You did it because you are who you say you are. You did it because the fire in you refused to die. And listen, you've already won in ways you may not even realize. You kept your heart soft when it would have been easier to harden. You kept your vision alive when circumstances begged you to settle. You kept dreaming even when no one believed in the dream but you. That's the mark of a chosen one. Someone who holds the vision, even in the dark. So no, this isn't where it ends. This is where you reclaim your strength. This is where you rise not just for survival, but for sovereignty. You're no longer asking for permission to shine. You're no longer apologizing for being powerful. You're no longer shrinking to fit into rooms that were never built for your spirit. You've outgrown the box. You've outgrown the silence. You've outgrown the version of you that doubted their worth. Now, it's time to speak louder, to walk bolder, to claim what's already yours. You've carried others, now carry yourself. You've believed in their visions, now believe in your own. You've given love to the world, now give it to yourself without hesitation. This is the sacred return to your truth, to your rhythm, to your divine identity. So when the old fears come knocking, don't answer. When the doubt creeps in, smile. You've been here before. You know how to rise. When the weight of what's next starts to feel overwhelming, breathe. Then remember, God didn't bring you this far to leave you, and you didn't come this far to stop. Not now, not ever. This is your time. Push through. As you stand here, in this moment of reflection, I want you to feel the truth in every fiber of your being. You have already crossed the threshold. The hardest part wasn't the battles. It wasn't the struggles. It was the willingness to face them head-on when everyone else would have run. It was the courage to hold your ground even when the winds of doubt were screaming to make you fall. You stood. You kept standing. And now, that is your power. But here's what you might not realize. In every season you've walked through, you were never walking alone. No, not even for a second. Even in those silent, lonely moments when you couldn't see the way forward, you were being guided. The very struggles that tried to break you were also shaping you, molding you into someone so powerful that nothing can stand in your way anymore. God did not bring you this far to leave you stranded. He brought you this far because you have a purpose that is too big, too bright, and too significant to be left unfinished. Your life is not a mistake. Your struggles were not meant to weaken you. They were meant to build you up, brick by brick, until you became unshakable. You are not just a survivor, you are a warrior. And warriors don't retreat. They rise. They rise higher than ever before. And just when you think the storms are too much, when the weight of the journey feels like it's unbearable, remember this: it's in the storm that you find your wings. It's in the chaos that you discover your true power. No matter how much pressure you're under, you are a diamond being formed. And diamonds only shine brighter with time. There's a reason why you haven't been able to forget your dreams, your calling, your vision. There's a reason why you can't shake off that feeling that you're destined for more. It's because that truth is embedded deep inside of you. The universe has already started moving on your behalf. What you're feeling right now is the last wave of resistance before everything aligns. And trust me, it's coming. The breakthrough you've been praying for is closer than you think. The doors you've been waiting for to open are about to swing wide. The success you've been working toward, it's coming. And it won't be a whisper. It will be a roar, because you've earned it. Every tear, every late night, every moment of doubt, you've earned it all. And the reward, it will be worth every single second. So as you step into this new chapter, hold your head high. Your heart is full of fire. Your spirit is untouchable. And your destiny is undeniable. Don't let anyone or anything make you question it. The only thing that matters now is that you believe in yourself. You believe in your purpose. You believe in the truth that was always within you. You are not the same person you were when you started this journey. You are no longer that person who was unsure, fearful, or unaware of their power. You are someone who has faced the trials, stood tall in the face of adversity, and emerged stronger, more focused, and more determined than ever before. You've reached the point where you no longer ask for permission to be who you are. You simply are, and that is unstoppable. So when life tries to challenge you again, when the road gets tough, when the weight feels heavy, remember, you have already survived the worst. You've already proven your strength. You've already shown the world that you're not just a survivor, you're a champion. The world isn't ready for you. The blessings coming your way aren't ready for you. But you are ready. You're more than ready. Now go ahead. Rise. Push through. Because God didn't bring you this far to leave you. And no matter what you faced or what you're about to face, you've got this. You are the chosen one.